Okay, great. So welcome, Jen.
Hi.
This is exciting to do this session with you because I know you're kind of at the precipice of building a business, taking those next steps. So you've recently had a baby, you've kind of taken a little maternity break from corporate, you've trained as a life coach with me, and now you're hoping to take the next step and transition into building your own business and supporting other women in corporate who are going through the same transformation that you're going through, whether it be because they've had a baby and that's the catalyst for them turning and transforming their life, or they want more balance, or they're stressed, or they're looking for something more than their corporate life, and you're going to be that guide that they can go to and find themselves and be a bit more clear about their path. So my job today, and I'll use whatever tools I've got in my toolkit. Passionate about coaching, and I'm also passionate about energy healing as well. And the reason being is the mental brain is there for us to create a meaning on an external thing. When we're brought up as babies, we get shown the alphabet. That's A. That's one. We have to form meaning, and that's what our brain gets attuned to. Energetically, we have an energetic body. We have an auric field. Science proves it. They call it the electric magnetic field. And when this field is distorted through illness, toxins, emotional trauma, it's our subconscious mind, if you like. It's this electrical filter system which carries all our imprinting from childhood, all our memories. If our field is clogged, or it has an imprint, an emotional belief that is just not processed, it feels like we're stuck and we can't move forward. So I'm going to use a technique. It's called the soul transformation technique. Works with quantum energy. It's going to find the root cause of what needs to be worked on today. And that's the beauty of it. It's a communication between our energy system, because consciously you're just thinking, well, I feel a bit stuck and I don't know what to do. But if we go deeper, we'll find the root cause that you will never, ever consciously be able to find yourself.
Exciting.
Yeah. So when I tuned into your energy, it was like, okay, you're pretty much sorted. You've got everything that you need. Very, very capable person. There's nothing that I feel is pressing in your life. I know you've had a baby, and I know the frustrations that brings. So that was the only thing that I picked up on. I didn't pick up on anything, anything else other than that, really. So it'd be interesting to see what my soul transformation technique says. We'll start with this.
When you said that sorry to interrupt, when you said you pick up on the energy, how do you actually do that? How do you tune in?
So what I do is I start to kind of meditate in the morning. So from about, say, 7:30 this morning, I just get that nudge. Okay, now's the time, like tune in. So I'll just start to meditate on you, bring you into my mind, if you like, bring you into my aura, and I'll just keep going in and out of that state. So it could be 1 minute sorting the baby out, the next minute I'll get reminded and it's about you, and my whole system goes very, very calm, very different. Like if you saw me, I'm not functioning, I'm meditating and I'm grounding, and I'm probably expanding my aura as well. And then later on, when I know it's more time to get serious, I'll call in my spirit team. So I've got one person at the left, one person at the right, one person in front, one spirit behind. Call on them. I see what they look like, because that tells me a lot about what's happening with you. So today, when I called in my father spirit guide, if you like, he came through as a wizard. Sounds a bit weird, but it's just symbolic. They have to show, we have to get we have to interpret what we get. And if it was in Arabic, I wouldn't get it. So it has to be shown to me in a way that I humanly understand. It came through as a wizard. So I then take the time to say, okay, what does that mean? to me, and you more so. And what that means to me is it's the magician in the major arcana. And did you get that when we did your profile at all? When we did your archetype profile, did the magician come up?
I'm not sure, actually. I'll have to review that.
So what the magician, what the magician means to me is he is the master manifester. He brings down from heaven what he wants and he creates it on a physical level. So it's also about communication as well. It's a mercurial card. So Mercury is a planet that moves very fast, and it's about business, it's about communication, it's about the internet, it's about even traveling as well, short travel. So that was saying to me, okay, there's something very masculine coming in around you that is about manifestation. Okay. That's what it meant. Okay. At the time. And anyway, they just support me during this reading. So I've already asked a couple of questions of the system. We've got permission to work together, which is the biggest thing. You're open to healing. And now I'm just going to ask it by using my pendulum what we're working with. Is it a belief, an emotion, a pattern, or a memory? So I'll just ask that now. So it's coming up as a pattern. And I'm going to look at your timeline to see if there's anything on your timeline where this occurred. And it's just now, it's current, it's just saying now. Now I'll look for the treatment today. So let's see what's best for Jen. And EFT is coming up quite strong for you there. So EFT, and that's a great technique that you can use at home by yourself. So I'm just going to ask a few more questions. Sorry, it's a bit boring. It goes a bit quiet, but I'll let you see. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm going to look at your emotional overview to see where you are right now. Emotional pattern, which would make sense. And the area it's affecting is, okay, your self-worth, values.
Yeah.
Would that resonate with you?
Definitely, yes.
Yeah. So now we're going to look to see where this is being held in the system. We're going to look at the chakra and the auric field. So which chakra is it in for Jen? The root. Sacral. Yeah, so it's held in the sacral, which is about valuing yourself, self-worth. Okay, so I'm going to go to that section now. So the sacral chakra represents emotions, feelings, boundaries, intimacy, connections, sexuality, self-acceptance, creativity, all that kind of thing. This is really where our manifestation abilities lie for a woman. This is our fertility center. It's what we create. Okay. So let's have a look at the emotion. Is it in row A? Yeah, that's it. One. In row A. It's in row B. I deserve to be taken advantage of is coming up. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, a little bit, because I think I've struggled with like boundaries in the past, or like being assertive and, you know, thinking of my needs maybe less than others.
That's interesting. So that's the emotion that it's coming up now. So how is that playing out in your life? Can you recognize that anywhere?
Yeah, I mean, maybe not so much at this point in time, but definitely as a pattern around boundaries. That's definitely, and I think a lot of what's come up as I've worked with you as well is around the throat chakra, and that was in my chart. So maybe that's connected, because that's around, if I'm allowing people to take advantage of me, it's that lack of speaking out. If that makes sense, you know, that's how I sort of interpret it a little bit.
It does. Now, what I teach on this new chakra coaching course is the sacral chakra can hold we all hold archetypes in our system, and they're like energy characteristics. And the highest archetype of the sacral chakra can be the emperor and the empress. So they're rulers of their kingdom. They make sure that their needs are met and the needs of their people are met as well. But when this energy is out of balance in the sacral chakra, it can be the martyr, someone who sacrifices himself for the needs of others. It can be the prostitute. I know that's a bit of a harsh word, but the person who sells themselves for acceptance, for love, for gratification, that kind of thing. Or it can be the opposite of that. It can be like the tyrant. It can be the one that dictates and exerts control over other people. Jem, 1 minute. I'm just knocking the door.
Okay, no worries.
Hiya, thank you very much.
Post.
Models. Books. More books. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I think what I've struggled with the throat chakra and sort of showing my authenticity, because maybe not because I don't want to necessarily, but it's that fear of judgment or acceptance maybe. And also what I've recognised is a little bit of a pattern of a chameleon. So I'm quite adaptable to different people and different situations, which can be a real plus point. But equally, if you go too far with that, it takes away from your needs in a way and your authenticity as well. So I definitely recognise that, and that kind of keeps you vulnerable to that maybe.
Yeah. I know in your chart you had three as a challenge, which is about communication.
Yeah.
You've also got a lot of 9s, which is about balance, about power, and that equal level of balance and control. So it's not.
But
Go on.
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, it was interesting because the card that I pulled during the workshop was actually balance.
Ah, right. Okay,
that was quite interesting.
I feel, although that you think, okay, it's a throat thing because you don't feel you're speaking your truth, I do feel that it's probably happened in the sacral, because that's it. We go from the root to the sacral, to the solar, to the heart, to the throat. And the sacral and, let me think, it'll be the sacral and the heart will be connected. We can't speak our truth unless we've balanced all the other lower levels. So the lower 3 levels, absolutely the root and the sacral. If we've picked up imprinting, beliefs, patterns of behavior in our environment from our grandparents, even our parents, from going to school, from religion, that's so imprinted on us, we've forgotten about it. We can't see the imprint because we've lived that life. It's like the fish can't see the water. But if we carry it, it will always play out until we can kind of separate ourselves and observe it. So it's interesting because you want to move forward in your business, but with that emotional pattern, I deserve to be taken advantage of. There's something that says in there, I don't deserve to have it all. Like I can't give you a healthy boundary because I don't really believe I deserve to be respected. And sometimes it's it has a secondary gain. So if I was to say to you, carrying that emotional pattern and letting that play out subconsciously in your life, actions, business, relationships, what's the secondary gain to you?
So you mean looking at it from a positive light?
Yeah, there's always like there can always be a secondary gain with any form of behavior, good and bad. Well, wouldn't call it bad necessarily, it's just a behavior. But what do you think you get from allowing that behavior to continue if you were?
I don't know.
If you always allowed people, if you never allowed people, if you never allowed yourself to get what you deserved, what's the benefit to you?
Well, I suppose it's that safety net, isn't it? Maybe the comfort zone thing.
Yeah.
So even though if I'm not elevating myself for whatever reason, the self-worth thing or not, is it feeling deserving of it, I can stay where I am, and that's the safe.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I was getting to. Yeah, as you can always find excuses then.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it didn't happen because of this. Oh, well, you know, it didn't happen because of that. You know, and actually,
That's what I've done. Always.
Okay, there we go. There it is.
Yeah.
And there's the behavior, and there's the secondary gain, and there's the awareness.
Yeah.
So the first key is, how is this even play? You know, what the hell is playing out here? How is it playing out? And why am I doing it? Now you can see it laid out in front of you. You can make choices to change it.
Yeah.
Before you couldn't. You're just like, oh, well, maybe on some level you get a feeling, but you know, until you do this work, and it's like, there you go, in the newspaper, this is Jen, this is what she does, and this is how she does it. It's like you're unconscious to it.
Yeah.
So it's really good that you can recognize that, because you will never ever be successful if you don't deal with that level of not deserving it. And looking at the secondary gain and going, okay, why am I doing that? Because it's keeping me in my comfort zone. Okay, separate that out from the self. Ask yourself, what is it that I really want? So what is it that you really want?
Freedom, I think. That was a theme that came through a lot of the work that we've done together. And also when I've done work separately, trying to work through limiting beliefs and things like that, that was always a theme. It's that sense of freedom. So the business and what I'm looking to do outside of corporate and everything else, you know, there's other reasons why I want to do that. But it always comes back to that freedom thing. But then it's almost like a little bit of a conflict, because in order to attain that, there's potential risks, and it's getting out of my comfort zone. But it's almost like, what's more painful, staying where I am or taking that step forward? So that's the dilemma that I'm sort of in.
If you don't deal with this emotional pattern of not deserving, you will stay where you are, because subconsciously you're going to have that emotional pattern on repeat. The record player, I don't deserve it anyway, I don't deserve it anyway, therefore stay where you are because you don't deserve it anyway. What would be the point in even trying if you carry that emotional pattern that you don't deserve it anyway? Might as well save all your energy and not freaking try.
Yeah.
So you want freedom, and is that a life that so tell me what it is that you see for yourself. First of all, tell me what it looks like to be you when you are feeling, I don't know, trapped in corporate, doing this emotional belief of not deserving, letting things pass you by and staying stuck. What does it look like, the energy of that, when you get a mental picture?
It's just so frustrating, because I can recognize where it's that self-sabotage kind of pattern and behaviour, because it's not even, if you're coming across a challenge and it's difficult and it's, okay, I've got to push through this, you can kind of understand where you might not do it or take that step forward. But for me, it's not even the big things all the time. It's like the stupid little things that I'm not doing. And I'm the only one not doing it. It's not other people around me. So I'm stopping myself from making the change, but then equally, I'm immersing myself into this journey and all the self-development, as you well know. But it's like you're on that hamster wheel. So it's like, how do I get off that hamster wheel and make it happen? It's almost like I've got two lives that I need to merge together in some way. That's like sort of the dream. And it's not quite attainable yet. I mean, I feel like I'm getting closer to that. But that's something that's just keeping me stuck. So more than anything else, I'm frustrated at me. It's that sort of your own worst enemy type of energy for me a lot of the time. And it's like, God, why have I done that again? Because I'm very much aware, I'm quite self-aware, I'm very much aware that until you deal with that devil, you can't move to the next level. But then I often find myself in the same sort of patterns, and I'm thinking, well, why aren't I learning from that? And it frustrates the life out of me, to be honest.
It's really difficult to see your own patterns. And that's why you need to step outside of yourself and go to somebody. I go to other people to see my psychological patterns. You know, if the fish can't see the water, you know. So, okay, so let's have a look at the archetype or the energy of this frustration. If it were a character or it were a movie title, what would it be that would most describe how it plays out?
Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day, yeah. And when you tune,
like that.
Yeah, no, I get it. Same things, different day. When you tune into that energy, it might help to close your eyes just for a second. It's up to you. Just get a sense of where that energy sits in relation to your body. Is it outside of you, behind you, to the left, to the right? And does it feel masculine or feminine?
I think it's sort of around, in the body itself. So maybe around like the solar plexus, sacral area. It's like in the, the pit of your stomach, that kind of feeling. In terms of whether it's feminine or masculine, I know what you mean, but I don't really know how to identify, because it's that kind of sick feeling. So is that feminine or masculine? I'm not sure how to interpret that.
Well, let's do a little guided visualization technique. Are you okay with that? Okay, so just close your eyes and I'm going to just talk you through a little guided visualization technique, just so we can observe this character, this energy, because that's all it is. And you've got so many different energies that you can also tap into and talk to. This is just one. It feels really strong and powerful because it's quite dominant in your life right now, and you've connected to it as being you, and it's not you. It is a very small fractal of you that's playing out now because it needs an outlet, and this is what we're going to do today. So we've recognized the pattern, and we've also got a technique to help it to go. That's all it wants to do. It wants to express and go. So just with your eyes closed, just take as long as you need to tune in to that solar plexus area or wherever you feel that energy is. And you can literally do whatever it takes. You might even feel like you want to pull it out gently and just start to unravel it, and or imagine it just as you breathe out, you breathe this energy, this air out of you. It might have a color, and I'm going to invite it to stand at the side of you, so it's no longer in the body, so that we can have a dialogue with it, and we can see what this energy's higher purpose is and how it's trying to serve you. So just keep breathing, use your imagination. That's all that's required. And just ask this energy just to gently come out and play, have fun with us, come and talk to us, and ask it to stand at the side of you. And when you feel that it's done that, just give me a nod. Okay, so just take a look in your mind's eye, get a feeling of this energy. Maybe you hear sounds, get sensations, thoughts. Just tell me what this energy looks like, feels like.
It's like I'm visualizing it's like a black smoke almost. So it's like I'm sort of seeing that as like the shadow side of me, if that makes sense. Because when you said that the awareness of it, that like that fish analogy that you used, I've got to the point where, because I've been working on myself a bit more, I can recognize it, but only sort of after the event and not while I'm in it. So it's great that I can recognize it, but it's why am I allowing that to play out? So I feel like it's sort of the shadow side of me, like the little devil on your shoulder. That's how I'm interpreting it.
Okay. And just tune into the energy of it again. In fact, if it's okay with you, I'm just going to ask you just to shuffle yourself so you step more into that energy so I can have a little communication with it. That's okay. Okay, so now I'm going to ask to speak to this energy that Jen's called the shadow side of her. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so just tell me, do you have a name?
Shadow.
Okay, and how long have you been with Jen?
Always.
Okay. Can you remember an event or a time, a reason why you came into her life?
Protection.
Okay, that's great. And how old was Jen then when you worked alongside her?
4 or 5.
Okay, and what was happening to her?
Just getting family life.
And what was happening in family life where you needed to help her?
So parents splitting up,
Mm.
and a little bit of discourse within the sort of structure of the family.
Mm. And how was Jen being affected by all that?
A lack of security in an emotional sense.
Mm. Oh wow, that must have been really hard for Jen. How did she deal with that?
Disconnected to herself. A lot of comparison as she grew to other people and other people's situations, family situations.
What did she believe about herself because of that situation at home?
So I'm just getting a feeling of inadequacy, and with that emotional struggle, sort of struggle of stability and also financial in some way, because obviously that instability in the family affects every sort of facet of life.
So she took on that negative emotion and absorbed it. And what was your job in her life? How have you been trying to help her and protect her?
So stopping her from wanting more, or that fear of, well, that fear of failure, I guess. So keeping her small, so she doesn't strive for something more than what she's able to attain. Then it keeps her small, keeps her safe.
What might happen to her if she didn't listen to you and she did reach for what she wanted? What do you fear might happen to her?
Well, there would be judgment. She cares what people think, so that would affect her emotionally. People in her family might not understand or get that.
And what's Jen's biggest fear that you give to her to keep her safe?
That she's not worthy and that she can't compete with other people who are out there doing their work or their transformational work that's serving the world or serving people, that she hasn't got the self-discipline to do that and be consistent with that, and that she would be judged for that and fail.
And how do you communicate with Jen? How will she know in the future that it's you talking to her, you nudging her, so she can decide, make her choice from now on? How do you communicate with her in her body?
So often it's a feeling, so that feeling in the pit of the stomach, but also manifests as almost that sort of emotional and physical tiredness,
right,
which stirs up that procrastination, and almost that little voice saying, don't do this or leave that for another day. That always plays out, and it's like an inaction, and it cuts off that sense of urgency, and then obviously then the momentum goes and generally fades away.
So you've been with Jen for a long time and you're here to help her. And it sounds like you've been doing a good job for all these years, keeping her safe. You've done a really good job, because I know she's done really well in the field that she's in. And we all need the support of somebody who tries to keep us safe. Can I ask, do you love Jen?
Yeah.
Okay. And what I'm going to invite you to do is, because Jen's working on herself and she's wanted to know what this energy is that's been keeping her stuck. And it's been great to talk to you. And I'm going to ask you if it's okay with you. Jen feels that you really do consume her life at the minute. She feels very clouded. She feels you in her stomach. And just for Jen's sake, would it be okay if you were just to sit behind Jen or out to the side of Jen, knowing that Jen can always call on you when she needs your protection? Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay. So just remove yourself now. Just take a nice step back, and thank you very much for the work you participated in.
Oh, there I am. Got into that then.
All right. So just move yourself, move your body, just free yourself of that energy there. How did that feel?
Ooh. Yeah, it was quite strange, really, because it was a real visualization as well. And it felt quite almost like evil in a way coming out of me when I was doing the visualization, but then it loved me, and it was more about protection. So that was quite interesting.
Yeah, all these energies, all these patterns, beliefs, etc., have been born from an experience we've had, and we've invited them in because something traumatic's happened and we've formed a subconscious belief, don't ever let that happen to me, I'm never going to be in that position, or something like that. And it's an invitation for a protector to come in and then to start to make these decisions in our life for us under the instruction of keep me safe.
So it is, and I think the questions you were asking me, I've obviously reflected on this quite a bit, but it felt quite like it was coming from me quite organically without me having to think, which was quite interesting. And I think it did probably start off with the family stuff, although I've never really connected with that before. And I think that's linked to, because I was talking a lot about security, and when you've just said then about never letting me get to that point, I think that's always been around that stability. So whether it be emotional because of the single parent thing, and then obviously that has an impact financially, and I felt that growing up as well. So I think a lot of the choices I've made in terms of career, business, life has been around stopping myself from ever getting into that position personally. So that's why I've got a lot of money blocks and things like that, and maybe making the wrong or ill-informed choices in business. So I probably ended up in, I don't think anything's wrong, but in the wrong kind of career because I'm thinking more about security or money, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand that. Our experiences shape our reality, and we form this belief system and we play it out very subconsciously. So if we were to then now tune in to the energy, the archetype of the freedom one, the one that you want to kind of metamorphosis into, what would that look like?
So I think it'd reflect this yellow.
Yeah.
You mentioned before the call. I'd never normally go for like bright colours or anything like that. I'm all like quite a tonal person, or black, or so it's like more stepping into that energy of like bright and light. Even when you mentioned stepping into that energy, I just felt a bit more in my body, like lighter, freer. It just felt different.
Yeah, and that energy is a mix really of the solar plexus and the sacral chakra, that confidence colour, that sunshine colour. So if you were to name this archetype that you want to step into, what would its character name be, or the movie title be, if you saw yourself living that life?
Something like having it all. I know it's a bit cliched, but it's like reflecting that balance. So I don't have to choose one thing and sacrifice another. And obviously nothing's ever going to be perfect. You're always going to have those challenges to work through, but getting to a point where you just feel like, generally day to day, it's not always that big like hustle or struggle, or you're never quite getting to where you want to be, sort of at that point where, yeah, you're still going to have challenges, but you feel like you're doing what you're meant to be doing. So any challenges you're having are sort of nice challenges in a way, because does that make sense? Yeah,
makes sense. What does having it all look like to you? Would you still be working in corporate, or would you be coaching in corporate, or what does having it all look like to you?
I think for me, although I don't feel, I think it takes a lot of work for me to move from employee to CEO type mindset, because I'm not a natural entrepreneur. Some people are just born with that spirit and they're selling things like little Alan Sugars and things like that. I've never been like that, almost quite the opposite. So I think that's why it's more of a struggle to get into that mindset. But I definitely see myself as not being an employee. I feel very constrained by that. And it really takes a lot of the time. It's a real drain on my emotions, because I've suffered with burnout and things like that in previous jobs. So it's about trying to do more of what I really love, because there's aspects of the job I do love, but I get so drained and so heavy with the things that I don't, that it just clears all the good stuff out, if that makes sense. So that's what it.
Are you there, Jen? Sorry, I
Yeah, I
lost
don't
you
know
there.
what happened
It does it. It's the internet for you. All right, so describe a day of you having it all then. Just because I want you to get clear about what that is. Because quite often we can end up living that life and not actually realise that this is what I've asked for.
Yeah.
So if you were to create it, wave a magic wand, and you were to wake up tomorrow and live that life, what would the day be like?
I think some of it would be like a feeling more than actual action things. So obviously if it was an ideal day, it'd be just having balance and self-care and the things I actually want to do to live in joy, because that's what I feel like is missing. You know, I love yoga, and there's loads of different things, holistic things that I love, but I don't do it anywhere near enough. So my ideal day would be filled with those things, and then obviously serving others, the coaching side of it, helping people, getting out in nature, all of those things I know make me feel better. Because I don't do nearly enough of those, or having the freedom to do that, because often you can feel quite constrained, particularly when you're in like a corporate job, which is quite demanding. You can never switch off. There's no boundary between work and home life. I think that's what I've struggled with the most, but I think it's more that feeling of just contentment or peace of mind. So that feeling within your body more than anything else, because I've realised, you know, not everything's about money or about even your job or what you do. And it's, you know, you could be an entrepreneur and still feel quite unfulfilled, or unbalanced or whatever else. So I know it's not just about having a different kind of job, it's having that peace of mind and freedoms, a feeling as well as something that you're doing.
Definitely.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
I definitely agree. It is about balance, and it's about bringing more joy into your life. But kind of what it's not about is also thinking that it's achievable when I get to this place.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you have to make it achievable now. You have to work with what you've got now, because
Yeah.
every time we achieve to get a feeling state and we attach it to something out there, we get that thing out there, but we don't have that feeling state.
Yeah.
So then it's on to the next thing out there, and then we're on a different type of treadmill, chasing a different ideal. When that feeling state is always been available to us, at the touch of a button, we can tap into that feeling state. Now, it might be that life is like, okay, I'm really busy, I'm stressed out, I've got a new baby, I'm not sleeping, whatever is happening. And it's difficult to tap into that feeling state. But then we start to tell ourselves a story about how our life is not where we want it to be. Then we go off chasing something that we think is going to bring us out, and that stresses us out. So it's about balancing. It's totally about balancing. It's about working with what you've got now to bring in more balance.
But do you know what's interesting? You say that the second card that I pulled alongside the balance card was gratitude. So how funny is that? Because that's one thing that I'm going through at the moment. I'm learning how important gratitude is, not just for the sake of doing it, but for putting yourself in the present moment and realizing what you've got, being grateful for that, and sort of living in that moment now, rather than always chasing something unattainable. It's exhausting, isn't it?
That's where the stress is, and the contentment comes in, chasing a feeling state. I can never have anything that's going to give me that feeling state. Even if when people win the lottery, there's only a very tiny time scale where they're on a high, and then they come back to the way that they felt before. So, and self-employment, building a business, branding yourself, it's all really, really stressful. It's very rewarding, but it's stressful, and the commitment and the dedication, it takes a lot from you. So it's working with what you've got now.
Yeah. And I think that's something that might be keeping me in action as well, because I suppose the pros of being in a company or corporate, you sort of looked after a little bit, in the sense that you don't have to worry. You're not taking that personal accountability for you. You can take a back seat sometimes because you're an employee, whereas you're the face of your own business. And because I've always sort of felt like I've struggled around that self-discipline, and I've always had that to fall back on. So if I'm having an off day or whatever else, oh well, I'm in work, I'm not, performing at my peak, but I can kind of get away with that for a day or two or whatever. it's not quite the same mentality as an entrepreneur. So I think that's probably what holds me back, because I'm questioning my self-discipline with regard to that, because it is a completely different state of mind, isn't it, when you're moving into that field?
It is, but it's also, yeah, you know, I have lots of off days and I have lots of high days, and it's working productively with the high days, and then on the low days, not trying to work so hard, having that balance, taking myself off, do things that bring me joy and balance rather than keep going to the point of exhaustion. And it's just the same. It's about balancing your emotions and your energy, whether you're in corporate, but I get what you're saying. And being, you know, you feel like and that's a false perception as well. If you're self-employed and you feel you've got to show up like that all the time, it's an illusion, it's a dream, and that will burn you out just the same as having to show up in corporate every day and do a job that you hate really well. So it is literally about tuning into your body. What do I need to do now to bring me a bit of joy, because I'm feeling a bit crappy? So for me, I'll go and walk the dog. So if you were to think about your business, and you're on maternity leave, you've got your job to go back to, but you've got a desire to help other people, other mums even in corporate business, what could you do that brings you joy and balance, but makes you feel like, actually, I'm starting to do something here with this? What would bring you joy around that?
I think just taking some action, finally, that meaningful action though. So I've stayed in the phase of maybe, you know, dreaming it up and creating and in my mind, which is important to get that clarity. But I think even just little action steps. So I think we were discussing it last week. You know, what can the initial steps be? So meaningful research. Do I set up a group? Do I start connecting with my audience, but actually physically doing it, speaking to people, putting myself out there? I've felt quite a lot of momentum since doing your workshop, and it's been quite nice because it's been a while since I've felt that. So that's brought me joy, because I'm thinking that's disproved this little voice in my head that says, well, Jen, you're on your hamster wheel, you never do anything, you're never going to go anywhere with this, get off it, you're wasting your time and your money doing courses and things like that. So when I'm even the smallest thing that I'm doing, like creating surveys or stuff that I've been working on this week, that brings me joy in that respect, because I'm thinking, well, I'm actually doing something here, and a little light bulb's gone off. I feel like I know what direction at least I'm taking it in. So even though I'm not at, you know, chapter 20 of my story yet, because you often compare yourself to other people, just starting, I feel for me, just starting is probably going to be the hardest block for me. And obviously you'll have challenges along the way, but it's starting for me, which is just like, ugh.
And you've done that now, so well done. And
I mean, only small actions, but I feel like this is the most I've done, and not even the actions the most I've done, but the mindset, if you like. I feel like I'm treating it like seriously, rather than, oh, this is a nice little hobby to look into. So shifting from that is really key for me, because you can stay there, can't you, where you think it's quite safe because it's something you really enjoy, you're passionate about. But there's a difference between that and moving it towards a business where you're taking it seriously. You can still find joy in it, but it's not, as long as I tell myself that, well, I don't have to really do this. You know, it's just something fun that I enjoy. I'll stay there forever.
Well,
and that's what I realised.
Attitude, it should be fun, it should be something that you really enjoy. But even to make that tangible, you still have to like do something. To even bring that out to people, to make it fun and joy. But I think what you've said is you've taken that first step, and maybe you didn't know what steps to take before, and that was causing a bit of frustration.
Yeah, it was definitely clarity, because it was just, I sort of knew what I wanted to do and how I wanted to come across, but wasn't sure who or exactly how. And obviously if you feel like that, you can't make a start, can you? Because you think, well, if somebody came to me and said, I want to work with you, well, you've got to have something to work with and a plan.
Well, that was the thing. That was the biggest frustration for me for such a long time, is I want to serve, but I don't know what my message is, and I don't know who I'm supposed to be serving. And my God, did that throw me in a massive tailspin for ages. So it doesn't just click overnight. It can be a bit difficult for people. It was difficult for me. Let me just see what tapping point is going to be best for you.
Okay.
Okay, so it's under the arm.
Okay.
Spleen. So it's like where the bra strap is, and the affirmation, I'll send it to you, is I feel energized. I release attachments of codependency. I let go of worry, fear, and doubt. I release any blame, anger, hurt, frustration, and entitlement. And it releases anxiety, insecurity, low self-esteem, upset, guilt, and shame. And it encourages confidence, empowerment, faith in the future ahead, clarity, feelings of safety, and empowerment.
Oh, that sounds perfect, doesn't it? What we've been talking about.
I know. I'm going to just give you a little quick thingy. What I do is like the 4 pillars, the 4 quadrants of our life: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Just see where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's you.
Okay.
You're there in the middle, which is great.
Is that like a little fairy type thing, is it?
Yeah, it's like a girl. I'm going to show you. So that's you. So you're physical. Okay, physically, what does that represent to you?
Oh. Like walking towards something better.
Yeah.
Yeah, like get the light at the end of the tunnel. Something's awaiting me.
Okay, good. Physical, emotional.
What's that? Oh God, what the hell's that? Oh, that's like my rebel side coming out, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that authenticity, that rebel side, not giving a shit what anybody thinks, maybe.
Yeah. Doing what she wants to do, like, I'll do what I want to do. So hang on, physical, emotional, mental.
Oh, bloody hell. Yeah, bit of baggage there, isn't it? Yeah, that's actually how I feel. Oh, so funny.
Well,
so
yeah.
Yeah, carrying all sorts of crap and trying to shed it and not get very far. Just feel like, yeah. Them cards are great, aren't they?
And this is lovely. Look at that spiritual card.
Oh, isn't that nice? Isn't that interesting? Oh, there's me baby.
That's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, and that was you. That represents you.
Okay.
So it's freedom, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like,
interesting.
it's almost like, okay, and I want you to sit with this after the session. Freedom from what? Because everything is only ever happening in there. It's always an interpretation. So you asked yourself, freedom from what? And what is it that I really want to experience more of? And how can I do that? And just see what comes.
Yeah. It's all self-imposed, and I realise that, and I think once you have that awareness, that's half the battle. But it's getting out of that pattern, isn't it? That's the key.
It's getting out of that pattern. Just know now that that shadow side is there to serve you. Is there when I call them a he, but it's there to serve you whenever you want it. But it won't be making the choices for you now. That, this is you. This is the person who's making the choices now.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah. So,
and it's weird how they all connect as well. The other card that I drew at your session was all tied up. That was the last card I drew. So it was about like being in a self-imposed jail. So that's what I need to get out of. So it all connects, doesn't it?
Definitely all connects. So I'll send you that tapping technique. If you want, I'll just pull you a quick angel card before we end the session. So do you feel that got to the root cause of what?
Yeah.
Go.
It's really weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really strange, because I've done a lot of work on that, but it's not really played out or come up quite like that before. So I found it really, really helpful.
Okay, so that's Archangel Michael. So he comes in and he protects us.
Okay.
So that's just to say he's letting you know that he's surrounding you with protective light to obviously help you go on this journey, I guess. Okay, so I'll send you that tapping technique and the affirmation. I'll find out how many times a day you need to tap for, and I'll let you know, and you can just start to shift that energy yourself.
Okay, so would that just be tapping on that one point, not the whole sequence? How would that work?
Just tap on that one point. I'll show you how to kind of start and do this a balancing technique, and I'll get you just to tap on the thymus just to start to get the energy shifting. But we don't need to do a whole tapping session saying, even though I have these feelings, that's the point where it's going to start to shift everything for you. So it's easy to do. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Oh, my pleasure.
Really helpful.
I'll speak
Thanks,
to you.
Anne-Marie.
Bye, lovely.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.